Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, bringing you a video on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I want to talk about a common misconception. I highlight opportunities for people to better understand things many times in my videos, and here's one of them. What we call low-hanging fruits, where it's easy to communicate an opportunity. When a lot of people understand it, it makes their lives better. So let me get into it. There's this idea that AI is a bubble. Maybe you've heard of it. We've had many bubbles over the years which eventually burst and reveal themselves as bubbles. That is something lacking substance or endurance, financial or economic endurance, and it turns out to be a lot of hype. Hence the bubble, hence the bursting, and sometimes there's a lot of economic fallout, and it's been proposed that AI is just one more of these things, and I'm in that camp, honestly, and I have some evidence. I actually have some evidence in this one to explain why that is. Consider, first of all, there's a lot of technology, of course, technology behind AI. There has to be. It's a technological thing. It exists on networks and behind screens. You're not going to see AI outside of a screen. It's all going to be via some interface that's connected to a computer or a network, and for that reason you have what is called data centers. Okay, a little bit of background, a lot of this is review for most people. Data centers are required because a great deal of resources and computation are involved in the production of AI. The stuff that's actually useful, that is, things that you can sign up for that has low latency. Latency means how long it takes between the time you give it a command or a question or a prompt and get a response back. So latency is lowered by what you call parallel computing. Parallel distributed computing over a large area, a large number of devices or CPUs, or actually GPUs, which are also a form of parallel processing. So I don't want to get too complicated or technical in this video, but suffice to say that you're hearing things in the news about data centers rolling out, resources being allocated and used for the production of AI processing facilities, AI production, and this is true. However, now here's the evidence in support of AI being a bubble, and not to get too worried about it, because you have a problem if you're using chips, and you can ask any expert that GPU technology is graphics processing units, which has historically been used for rendering graphics on your screen, but the same technology is used for AI production or some derivative of GPUs, and that is because you have what is called parallel computing, massively parallel computing. Just real quick background, GPU is a technology, it's a hardware technology that usually runs a program per pixel on your screen. That's what it was initially designed for. So you have as many programs running simultaneously on the specialized hardware that you have pixels on your screen, which gives you that massive performance boost so you can run things like modern games and technology that has graphics. But turns out also you can use it for other applications, such as artificial intelligence, where you have the need for simultaneous parallel processing, such as you would have in a neural network like the human brain, which is massively parallel. You have trillions of connections via your synapses, and it's all happening simultaneously. So in order to simulate a human brain or any kind of realistic, useful intelligence, you need to be able to compute in parallel in a distributed fashion, hence the use of GPU technology. So they are producing these chips. Now, my point here, that was just a little bit of background. These chips are used almost entirely and exclusively in the main part of the production of AI technology. And the reason this is important is because you run into what's famously known as Moore's Law as a limitation. It's a lower bounds of usefulness, where you can shrink these chips only to a point, and this is why you have these gigantic facilities, because they are pretty much at that point already. They are approaching it rapidly, which means they cannot get smaller. There's there's an actual physical heat problem where the chips themselves cannot get below a certain size, so the only other option is to grow the size of the facility and start running them in parallel. You have them all networked together via fiber optic networks. You have the data centers themselves networked together via fiber optic networks, which are, very efficient, they are fast, and they transmit signals at the speed of light because they use fiber optics. But even as such, now here's my final point. The biggest data centers allocated entirely to AI processing, networked together, are going to scare you, but they shouldn't, because there is no more efficient design of a neural network than the rigorous process of hard evolution. Okay, so here's the thing. You're going to have an energy problem no matter how you cut AI. You're going to have an efficiency and a latency problem, which is traded for heat and speed, and it's never, ever, no matter how you cut it, due to the limitations of the actual technology itself, because of Moore's law, where your reduction in size comes at a cost, an increasingly high cost, it's never going to be as effective as organic chemistry. That is the human brain, for example. Not just humans, but some kind of biological solution. Now, the answer connected to this, you're going to hear, especially if you follow like @BearBaitOfficial, that's Gabrielle Torch, who has her own channel on YouTube. She covers a lot of this stuff. She goes into the technical stuff with AI and brain organoids, which is the point I'm making here next. They have connected brain organoids as a possible augmentation or solution besides and with AI to combat Moore's law and the latency and the limitations of the technology itself. They're starting to figure out that AI is just never ever going to reach the efficacy of a biological neural network. So they are getting into developing what are called brain organoids. It's kind of scary if you follow this stuff. Brain organoids, it's a genetically engineered brain without a body many times. And we're told that they're all very small, but they don't have to be. Now, obviously, if you can make a small one, you can make a large one. We are told that they can be stuck together like Legos, and you can, stack them. Okay, so the direction becomes obvious. The bigger the brain organoid, the more powerful the brain, and it's going to be the next thing besides AI. Now, my point here is not to scare you, but to alleviate your concerns about the AI bubble. I'll get back to the subject, which is AI being not necessarily the next stage in economics, not something to worry about, because it is most definitely a bubble, especially the stuff that is driven by chips and GPU derivative technology, because there's a limitation, and we've already reached it. And as big as data centers are getting right now, it's all hype. Okay, it's a fad, and everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Everybody with enough capital to invest in this stuff is being convinced by people who actually know a little bit about it to dump the money into these new data centers. It's a cash grab. It's a land grab. They're just saying, hey, yo, investor man, since you don't know much about technology, let me explain this to you. Yeah, dump your cash on this because everybody is. You don't want to be late to the game. So they are, but it's all going to burst. It's going to definitely burst because it's not effective. There's that limitation that they've already reached. And then the next step, which might be a subject for a different video, is the new emerging organic artificial intelligence technology known as brain organoids, which is super scary if you ask me. But that's a topic for another video. And I think actually you should talk to or listen to Gabrielle Torch @BearBaitOfficial. Search for that if you will. She has tons of great videos on it, and she has done a huge amount of research, and she follows it actively. So something to think about and look up if you're interested. But don't worry too much about AI. Big ol' stupid will not get the best of you. It'll not get the best of the smartest of us, trust me. It's already been defeated. Reach out if you like with questions down below. Thank you.